In 2024, something strange happened in the car world. While everyone was talking about EVs and autonomy, 3 of our most watched videos featured manual transmissions. The Mazda MX-5, BMW Z4 M40i, and even our heel-toe tutorial racked up major views combined. But here's what nobody's talking about. There's a bigger story behind these numbers, and it's not what you think. Today, we're diving into what these viewing patterns really tell us about the future of driving enthusiasm and why the manual transmission story of 2024 isn't what it seems. Before we dive into 2024, I wanted to get something out of the way. You won't see a worst cars list in this video, not because there weren't any disappointments, and trust me, there were, but because life's too short to focus on negativity. There are enough people telling you what's wrong with cars. Let's talk about what's right. And speaking of what's right, you all made 2024 incredible. We hit almost 1.9 million views, welcomed over 11,000 new subscribers, and produced 90 videos. That breaks down to 79 reviews, 3 interviews, 5 shorts, and 1 tutorial that absolutely exploded. And speaking of explosions, I did very quietly drive something back in June that probably would have made my worst list if I had one. Let's just say it's angular, stainless steel, and rhymes with fiber truck. But that's another story for another day. Moving on, earlier this year, I posted something that might have seemed a bit aggressive at the time. Car makers that have given up on manuals are fools, and I have proof. Well, looking at our most watched videos of 2024, turns out you agreed. Plenty of manual gearboxes and even a heel-toe tutorial, they all prove that 3-pedal life isn't just surviving, it's thriving. And to all those manufacturers who said nobody wants manuals anymore, the numbers don't lie. Now, before we get into this countdown, let me tell you, this list surprised even me. If you told me at the start of 2024 that we'd have not 1, but 2 Mazda videos in our top performers, or that people would get excited about watching me review a Prius, I'd have questioned your judgment. But that's what made this year special. It wasn't just about horsepower numbers or 0 to 60 times. It was about cars that made us feel something. These 5 videos resonated because they told stories you weren't hearing anywhere else. They cut through the marketing speak and got to the heart of what makes these cars matter, or in one case, what everyone else was afraid to say. Number 5, the Acura Integra Type S showed us that Honda and Acura still know how to make our hearts race. It's basically a Civic Type R that went to graduate school. Same wild energy, but now it knows how to tie a tie and expensive business lunch. It's for people who want to relive their VTEC glory days, but need to look professional at the valet stand. At number 4, Toyota somehow made the Prius cool, and I'm still processing that one, which is like making kale taste good. Nobody saw it coming, nobody asked for it, but somehow they did it. And now we're all sitting here wondering if we're attracted to a Prius. This is definitely the strangest timeline. The best part, this is the first Prius that doesn't come with a coexist bumper sticker fitted as standard equipment. Number 3, BMW Z4 M40i manual proved that sometimes complaining on the internet actually works. BMW bringing back the manual Z4 M40i is like your ex texting you, "I've changed," after getting therapy. Sure, we're skeptical, but we're also lonely enough to believe it. And you know what? Maybe they have changed. The shifter feels better than your memories of the E46, and that's saying something. The MX-5 ND3 first drive review demonstrated why Mazda remains keeper of the pure driving flame, plus engineering whiz Dave Coleman stopped by in that episode. Everyone keeps asking why the MX-5 doesn't have more power. That's like asking why a sushi chef doesn't serve cheeseburgers. Mazda's over here perfecting the art of balance while everyone else is building cars that need active anti-roll systems just to make it through a McDonald's drive-thru without tipping over. And at number 1, that MX-5 RF ND3 follow-up video struck a chord none of us expected. The RF is the MX-5 for people who want to explain what RF means at every Cars and Coffee. It's basically a hardtop Miata wearing a tuxedo, proving you can teach a fun-loving roadster to dress business casual. You know what's fascinating about that RF video hitting number 1? It proves that sometimes the most important story isn't the obvious one. It's not always about the fastest car or the most expensive. Sometimes it's about saying what needs to be said. But here's where things get really interesting. When we look at our all-time most watched videos in 2024, you start seeing a pattern that honestly I didn't expect. These aren't just videos that performed well, they're videos that changed how people think about certain cars. And in one of them, well, it's about something you do with your feet. This list spans multiple years, but that's what's incredible is how many 2024 videos broke into it. So let's count down our top 5 most watched videos in 2024, starting with number 5. It's that brutally honest review of the 2023 Subaru WRX, and it's still stirring up controversy. Plus, fun fact, the WRX's hood scoop is actually sized to collect vape clouds. At number 4, the BMW Z4 M40i manual, proving that 3 pedals still matter. And yep, BMW finally gave us a manual Z4. Turns out all we had to do was complain for 20 years. At number 3, our ND3 review showed why the MX-5 remains the benchmark. And fun fact, the MX-5's trunk is still smaller than the M5's new grille. At least one of them is functional. At number 2, that RF video resonated beyond anything we expected. And fun fact, the MX-5 RF weighs less than the owner's manual for the 2025 BMW M5. But sitting at number 1, the ultimate guide to heel and toe from 5 years ago. Yep, on a lark in 2020, I decided to teach what I know, but with YouTube as the delivery method. And now over 140,000 of you have learned this brand of fancy footwork right here. You know what's interesting about these view counts? They tell us what you wanted to watch, but they don't always tell the whole story. Some of the most incredible moments behind the wheel this year never went viral. They didn't have to. Sometimes the best drives are the ones that change you, not your subscriber count. So let's wrap up 2024 with something more personal. These are my top 5 favorite drives of the year. Not the most views, not the most comments, just the drives that left the biggest impression. And trust me, number 1 on the list, it might surprise you. Let's count them down. At number 5, the Ford Ranger Raptor showed us that size doesn't matter. This is what happens when Ford engineers get tired of F-150 owners having all the fun. It's like they took everything that makes the big Raptor great and put it through a hot wash cycle. Same attitude, more parking-friendly packaging. Number 4, the ND3 MX-5 is the best Miata ever and reminded us why simple is better. Plus, fun fact, the MX-5 ND3 is lighter than most people's excuses for not buying one. Just like mine. Number 3, the 2025 BMW M5 proved the future of performance is alive and well. You want to know the difference between internet experts and actual engineering? It's the difference between reading a number on a scale and feeling what happens when decades of M-division chassis development meets cutting-edge suspension technology. The new M5 doesn't defy physics, it works with physics in ways that would make Newton himself go back and rewrite his laws. And that's worth more than any number on a spec sheet. At number 2, our Mercedes-AMG GT4, pure motorsport magic. And I didn't have time to turn the footage into an episode, but here's the thing. From watching races at Mosport as a kid many decades ago to piloting our number 78 around the same place, now known as Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, that's the kind of full circle moment that makes all the years of work worth it. This is our team's car at my home track, and if that wasn't enough, this car went on to give us our first IMSA win with Josh Green at the wheel. Some cars are just machines, but this one's become part of our team's history. And my absolute favorite drive of 2024, the Ineos Grenadier. Imagine if a Land Rover Defender and a Mercedes G-Wagon had a baby and was raised by engineers who hate computers. It's absolutely brilliant. The Grenadier is so old school, it makes a mechanical watch look like AI technology. Every switch feels like it could survive a nuclear winter, and the owner's manual probably just says, "Figure it out," in 10 different languages. This is what happens when someone builds a vehicle without focus groups. And you know what? Sometimes that's exactly what we need. The data don't lie. While manual transmissions made up about 2% of new car sales in 2024, they dominated automotive content across YouTube. What we're seeing isn't the resurrection of the manual, it's the transformation of the manual transmission from a practical choice to a cultural symbol. And that's exactly why manufacturers are bringing them back. Not because they're better, but because they've become more valuable as icons than as tools.